Hello everyone, dear students. In today's video, we are going to discuss chapter number 7 from our first book, First Flight. The name of the chapter is Glimpses of India, and this chapter has three parts. And today we are going to take part number 1, A Baker from Goa. As the title suggests, a baker from Goa. I think everybody knows the meaning of the word baker. So, first of all, let's discuss something about the author. A Baker from Goa. This part is written by Lucio Rodriguez. He was a great Konkani essayist. He wrote several articles in English and Konkani to various periodicals and magazines. He served as a visiting professor of folklore at many universities and also as a professor of English in Mumbai and Goa. Introduction. A baker from Goa revolves around the relevance of a baker in the Goan culture which dates back to the time when Portuguese ruled over the city of Goa. In this chapter, actually, the author is going to tell us about the relevance of baker in Goan culture, which dates back to the time when Portuguese ruled over the city of Goa. When the Portuguese used to rule over the city of Goa, the Portuguese may have left, but the bread makers continue to have an inevitable stature. The Portuguese may have left that place, but the bread makers still continue to have an inevitable reputation there. In this story, the author recalls his childhood days and their excitement on seeing the baker. And here in this chapter, the author recalls his childhood days when he was full of excitement after seeing the baker. They were enthusiastic to the point that they would run to him as soon as they woke up without even brushing their teeth. It means the writer is telling here that he used to eat bread or loaves of bread without brushing his teeth. Key points, and I hope that you all will go through these key points yourself. And now, the detailed explanation of the chapter, A Baker from Goa. This is a pen portrait of a traditional Goan village baker who still has an important place in his society. We know not only in Goa but in every part of India also we can get bakery items. Almost all over the India the bakery items are used, and here in this chapter the writer is going to tell us about a traditional baker who still has a very important place in the society. Our elders are often heard reminiscing nostalgically about those good old Portuguese days, the Portuguese and their famous loaves of bread. It means here in the starting of the chapter, the narrator or the writer is going to tell that our old people, those who were living in those old Portuguese days, now they are remembering those days. They cannot forget those memories, and they cannot forget those Portuguese and their loaves of bread. Those eaters of loaves might have vanished, but the makers are still there. The people who used to, the Portuguese, those who used to eat those loaves of bread, they have gone, they have disappeared, but the makers are still there. They are still, the mixers are there, the molders are also there who bake the loaves, and the furnaces in which they used to bake their bakery items still they are in Goa. The third and jingle of the traditional baker's bamboo heralding his arrival in the morning can still be heard in some places. Maybe the father is not alive, but the son still carries on the family profession. These bakers are even today known as podar in Goa. So, here in this paragraph, what the writer is going to tell, that the writer is telling that when we were child, we used to hear the sound of the baker's bamboo, and it was a clear indication of his arrival in the morning. And now the writer is saying that the fathers who used to bake the cakes or who used to prepare those items, they have gone. They are not alive, but their son or their children, they have adopted that profession, or we can say the family profession. And these bakers even today are known as podar in Goa. During our childhood in Goa, actually the writer is going to tell us about his past memories related to bakery items or related to Goa. During our childhood in Goa, the baker used to be our friend, companion, and guide. He used to come at least twice a day, and twice a day they came to they came to meet the baker. Once when he set out in the morning, one time in the morning when he started selling his bakery items, and after by the end of the day, after returning, when they emptied their huge basket, the jingling thud of his bamboo woke us up from sleep. And when in the morning the baker used to come in their street, they woke up. Suddenly they woke up after hearing that sound, and we ran to meet and greet him. Why was it so? Was it for the love of the loaf? Not at all. It was not mere for our love for loaf. Not at all. The loaves were bought by some Pescaine or Bastine, and the loaves were collected by the maid servant of the house. Then what we longed for were those bread bangles which we chose carefully. And actually we wanted to meet the baker only for those bangles, bread bangles, which we chose carefully. Sometimes it was sweet bread of special maker. Sometimes we, it means the writer is going to tell that he loved to choose bread bangles himself, and sometimes it was sweet bread of special kind. The baker made his musical entry on the scene with the jang jang sound of his specially made bamboo staff. And the bakers used to make jang jang sound with their bamboo staff. Bamboo stick. Staff means stick. One hand supported the basket on his head, and the other banged the bamboo on the ground. With one hand, the baker used to hold his basket so that it might not fall on the ground, and with the second hand, he used to hold that bamboo which he was striking time and again on the ground. He would greet the lady of the house with good morning, and the baker used to bid, wished good morning to the lady of the house and then place his basket on vertical bamboo. We kids would be pushed aside with a mild rebuke, and the baker used to scold us very not so severely, but in a mild way he rebuked us. And the loaves would be delivered to the servant, and then the loaves would be delivered to the servants of the house. But we would not give up, but we were not ready to give up. We were very eager to see those loaves of bread or other items. We would climb a bench or a parapet. Parapet means a kind of small wall which is made on the roof of the house. That is called parapet. And peep into the basket, and we somehow we dare to peep into that basket of that baker. I can still recall the typical fragrance of those loaves, and right now in present time also, I used to eat those loaves of bread, those Bengal bread, Bengal loaves at that time in those days, but still I can feel, or I can still smell those laws. Laws for the elders and the bangles for the children, and especially laws were made for elders and the bangles were meant for the children. Then we did not even care to brush our teeth or wash our mouth properly. And why should we? Who would take the trouble of plucking the mango leaf for the toothbrush? Actually, in those days, doing, people were using mango leaves as toothbrushes. Those days, people did not have these brushes which we are having these days. And why was it necessary at all? And why it was necessary to brush the teeth? Brush teeth. The tiger never brushed his teeth. Here, metaphor is there in this line because the writer or the author is comparing himself with the tiger. Direct comparison is there, that's why it is metaphor. How tea, a hot tea could wash and clean up everything so nicely after. And people used to take tea before brushing their teeth. And same was the case with the writer, and he is saying that hot tea could wash our mouths properly. Marriage gifts are meaningless without the sweet bread known as a bowl. And here the writer is telling about the varieties of bakery items. He is saying that in marriages, for marriages purposes, especially bowl, this was or item, bakery item was there, and without it, no marriage gifts were meaningless. Just as a party or a feast loses its charm without bread. Same the case with party. If a sweet bread was not there, or in party or in any feast, the bread was not there, then it loses its charm. Not enough can be said to show how important a baker can be for a village, and we cannot judge the importance of the baker in a village. Actually, they were very, very important. They had a very significant role in old Portuguese days, and still they have a very important place in our society. The lady of the house must prepare sandwiches on the occasion of their daughter's engagement, and the lady of the house used to prepare sandwiches on the occasion of their daughter's engagement. Cakes and bolinhas are a must for Christmas. And for the Christmas festival, cakes and bolinhas, they were famous for these festivals. Thus, the presence of the baker's furnace in the village is absolutely essential. So, we can say this way the presence of the furnace in a particular village is must, because without furnace, how can the people bake their bakery items? The baker or bread seller of those days had a peculiar dress known as kabai. It means the baker of those days and the baker sellers who used to sell the bakery items to people. They had a very peculiar and a very strange dress, and it was known as kabai. It was a single piece long frock reaching down to the knees, as we have already seen in the picture in one of the ppts, na, that in that person was wearing a very long cloak frock, and it was reaching down to the knees, and it was known as kabai. In our childhood, we saw bakers wearing a shirt and trousers which were shorter than full length ones and longer than half pants. And now the narrator is recalling those days that in at that time the bakers used to wearing a shirt and trousers which were shorter than full length ones and longer. It means it was not a half pant and it was not full length pant. It was more than half. Even today, anyone who wears a half pant which reaches just below the knees invites the comment that he is dressed as a pedder. And even these days, if someone finds anybody wearing half pant more than half, then he gets a comment that he is dressed as a pedder. The baker usually collected his bills at the end of the month, and the baker used to collect their bills at the last of the month. Monthly accounts used to record it on some wall in pencil. With pencils, the monthly records were made on the walls of the houses so that the proper account could be maintained. Baking was indeed a profitable profession in the old days. Really, it was a very profitable profession. The baker and his family never starved. The baker and his family never starved. They always used to get something to eat because every time they had bakery materials at their home. His family and his servants always looked happy and prosperous. The baker, their family members, and their servants, they all looked very happy and prosperous. Their plump physique was an open testimony to this, and they all had a very plumpy physique, plumpy body. It was a witness to show that they are very rich and they are very prosperous. Even today, any person with a jackfruit like physical appearance is usually compared to a baker, and the people who is having a plumpy body, he is being compared. He is being compared with a jackfruit, and he's being compared to a uh, his appearance is being compared to a baker. So that was all about the chapter A Baker from Goa, and this is glossary, and I hope that these expressions would help you to comprehend the chapter in a better way, and I hope that you all are going to read the chapter at least twice so that you may get the ideas what the narrator wants to tell in this chapter. So thank you. Have a nice day, everyone.